Imagine being the President of the United States. You've survived war, led troops into battle, navigated the brutal world of 19th century politics. You're tough, a hero, commander-in-chief. And then you die from eating too many cherries. That's what happened to Zachary Taylor, the 12th President of the United States. War hero, old rough and ready, a man who'd survived Mexican-American war battlefields and political battles in Washington. He went to a 4th of July celebration in 1850, ate a bunch of cherries, drank some milk, and 5 days later, he was dead. The official cause? Gastroenteritis. Basically, severe digestive distress. His stomach couldn't handle what he'd eaten. A sitting president, killed by fruit and dairy. It sounds absurd, impossible, the kind of thing that couldn't actually happen. But it did, and the story of how and why reveals something fascinating about 19th century America, and about how easily a president could just die. This is that story. The 4th of July, 1850. It's July 4th, 1850. Washington, D.C. is hot, brutally hot. We're talking oppressive, sweltering, no air conditioning, 19th century summer heat. The kind of heat that makes you desperate for anything cold or refreshing. President Zachary Taylor attends the 4th of July celebration at the Washington Monument. Not the finished monument we know today. That won't be completed for another 34 years. This is just the cornerstone-laying ceremony, a patriotic event, speeches, crowds, national pride. Taylor sits through long speeches in the blazing sun, hours of them. He's 65 years old, sweating, uncomfortable, thirsty. And then comes the refreshments. There are cherries, fresh, cold cherries, raw vegetables, milk, cold milk, maybe some other foods. Accounts vary, but everyone agrees on the cherries and milk. Taylor indulges. He eats a lot of cherries, drinks a lot of milk. He's hot, he's thirsty, and this is the 19th century. Refrigeration is primitive, food safety is barely understood, and people just eat what's available. He goes home feeling fine, maybe a little full, maybe a little uncomfortable, but fine. And then his stomach turns. The decline. Within hours, Taylor starts feeling sick. Stomach cramps, nausea, diarrhea. The kind of digestive distress that suggests serious food poisoning. But he's the president. He pushes through, tries to handle his duties. This is Zachary Taylor. He survived war. He can survive a stomachache. Except it gets worse. Much worse. By July 5th, he's seriously ill, severe abdominal pain, vomiting, fever. He's confined to bed. Doctors are called. They try the standard treatments of the era: bloodletting, calomel, a mercury compound, opium, all of which probably make things worse. 19th century medicine is brutal, well-intentioned but often deadly. The cures can kill you faster than the disease. Taylor deteriorates rapidly. Within days, it's clear he's not recovering. His doctors realize they're losing him. The President of the United States is dying from what appears to be food poisoning. On July 9th, just 5 days after the 4th of July celebration, Zachary Taylor dies. The cause of death is listed as gastroenteritis. Cholera morbus, they call it. Basically, fatal stomach distress. And the suspected culprit? Those cherries and milk. The cherry theory. So what actually killed him? Was it really the cherries? The traditional story goes like this. Taylor ate too many cherries. The cherries were acidic. He then drank cold milk. The combination, acidic fruit plus dairy, created some kind of chemical reaction or bacterial nightmare in his stomach. The result? Fatal gastroenteritis. It sounds plausible. Cherries are acidic. Milk and acid don't always mix well. Add summer heat, primitive refrigeration, and 19th century hygiene standards, and you've got a recipe for disaster. But here's where it gets complicated. Modern doctors who've reviewed the case aren't entirely convinced. Some think it was simply food poisoning, contaminated cherries or milk. This is 1850. Food safety doesn't exist. Refrigeration is primitive. Bacteria thrive. Eating raw produce and dairy in summer heat is genuinely dangerous. Others think it might have been cholera. There was a cholera epidemic in Washington, D.C. that summer. Taylor's symptoms match. The timing works. Some historians have even suggested assassination. Arsenic poisoning, specifically. Taylor's policies on slavery were controversial. Maybe someone poisoned him? In 1991, they actually exhumed Taylor's body and tested for arsenic. The results? No evidence of poisoning. The assassination theory died with the test results. So what's the truth? Most likely, food poisoning, possibly cholera, probably made worse by the medical treatment, and definitely connected to what he ate on July 4th. The cherries might not have directly killed him, but they were there at the crime scene. Why this could happen. Here's what's remarkable. A president died from food poisoning, in office, from eating at a public event. That seems impossible now. Modern presidents have food tasters, security protocols. Everything they eat is carefully controlled and tested. The idea of a president dying from bad fruit is unthinkable. But in 1850, totally possible, normal even. Food safety doesn't exist. Germ theory hasn't been widely accepted yet. People don't understand bacteria, don't know that invisible organisms can make you sick, don't realize that summer heat and raw food are a dangerous combination. Refrigeration is primitive. Ice is expensive and rare. Food spoils quickly. And there's no FDA, no health inspections, no regulations. You eat food and hope for the best. Even the president. Taylor ate the same food as everyone else at that 4th of July event. He just happened to get the unlucky cherries, or the contaminated milk, or both. In 1850, food poisoning can kill anyone, even the most powerful person in the country. That's how fragile life was, how vulnerable, how close death always was, even for presidents. The medical nightmare. Now let's talk about what happened after Taylor got sick, because the treatment probably killed him faster than the disease. 19th century medicine is horrifying. When Taylor's doctors arrive, they do what doctors do in 1850. They make things worse. Bloodletting. They drain blood from his body. Because that's supposed to help. Somehow it doesn't. It just weakens him. Calomel, a mercury compound, toxic. It causes more vomiting and diarrhea. Exactly what a gastroenteritis patient doesn't need. Opium, for the pain, which slows down his already failing digestive system. These aren't quacks or incompetents. These are the best doctors in Washington, D.C., using standard, accepted medical practices of the era. And they're killing their patient. Taylor might have survived if they'd just left him alone, given him fluids, let his body fight it off. But they help him, and the help is fatal. This is the reality of 19th century medicine. Well-intentioned doctors using treatments that kill. Everyone's doing their best with the knowledge they have. It's just that the knowledge is wrong. Taylor doesn't die from cherries. He dies from cherries plus contaminated food, plus brutal medical treatment, plus bad luck. It's a perfect storm of 1850s danger. The conspiracy that won't die. But wait, some people still think Taylor was murdered. The arsenic theory has been debunked. The 1991 exhumation proved it. But conspiracy theories don't die easily. Why would someone kill him? Politics, slavery, specifically. Taylor was a slaveholder himself. He owned over 100 enslaved people. But as president, he opposed the expansion of slavery into new territories. He threatened to veto the Compromise of 1850, which would have allowed slavery in some new territories. Southern politicians were furious. Some talked openly about secession. If Taylor stood firm, the Union might split. So maybe, the theory goes, someone poisoned him, got rid of the obstacle, allowed the compromise to pass under the next president. It's compelling. There's motive, opportunity, political tension. And Taylor's death did allow the compromise to pass. His successor, Millard Fillmore, signed it. But the evidence says no. No arsenic, no poison, just bad cherries and worse medicine. Sometimes the boring answer is the right answer. Sometimes presidents just die from food poisoning. Even when conspiracy would make a better story. What Taylor's death changed. Taylor died just 16 months into his presidency. He barely had time to accomplish anything. His death is mostly remembered as a weird historical footnote. But it had consequences, real ones. Millard Fillmore became president. He supported the Compromise of 1850. The legislation Taylor opposed passed. The slavery question got temporarily patched over, which just delayed the inevitable Civil War. Would Taylor have prevented the compromise? Would he have stood firm on slavery expansion? Would his presidency have changed the trajectory toward civil war? We'll never know, because he ate too many cherries. History turned on fruit, on a hot July day and some bad food, on the simple biological fact that human digestive systems can fail. That's how fragile historical turning points are. How much can depend on random chance? A president's stomach, a contaminated cherry, a glass of milk. Small causes, enormous effects. The lesson in Cherries. Zachary Taylor's death teaches us something important. The past was dangerous in ways we forget. We think of presidents as invulnerable, protected, safe. But in 1850, even the president could die from eating the wrong thing at a public event. No food safety, no modern medicine, no security protocols, just a man eating cherries in the summer heat and hoping his stomach could handle it. It couldn't. 8 presidents have died in office, 4 from assassination, 4 from illness or natural causes. Taylor is one of the natural causes, though natural is debatable when it's food poisoning from a 4th of July party. His death reminds us that for most of human history, death was close, random, unpredictable. You could survive wars and still die from cherries, could lead a nation and still fall to bacteria you couldn't see. We've forgotten how vulnerable we used to be, how many ways there were to die, how little protection power or prestige offered. Zachary Taylor commanded armies, won battles, became president, and died from fruit. The final cherry. So here's the truth about Zachary Taylor, war hero, president, cherry victim. He went to a 4th of July party, ate some cherries, drank some milk, and 5 days later, he was dead. Not murdered, not from some dramatic disease, just food poisoning and bad medical treatment and terrible luck. It's undignified, absurd, the kind of death that seems impossible for someone so important. But that's the point. In 1850, Importance doesn't protect you. Power doesn't save you. Even presidents can die from cherries. Next time you eat cherries on the 4th of July, remember Zachary Taylor, the president who survived war but not fruit. The man who proved that no matter how powerful you are, bad food can still kill you. It's a humbling lesson, a reminder of mortality, a historical footnote written in cherry juice. Old Rough and Ready, war hero, president, dead at 65. From Cherries. History is weird,